Good morning, everyone. Hello, happy Friday. Welcome to Open Office Hours. I'm Crystal Hinkle, part of the team here at Syncro. I will let the ladies introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, I'm Tatiana. Welcome. Hi everyone, I'm Brandy. Nice to see you guys.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you that are returning guests, thank you so much. We love open office hours. We love all the amazing questions that we get. This community is phenomenal. It's the great way to wrap up our week. We absolutely love it. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome. I hope this isn't your last time. And just a little bit of background, kind of let you know what to expect. All questions are fair game. It really doesn't matter if you think like, oh, geez, I'm just starting out with Syncro. I hope this isn't a dumb question. Like, that's not a thing. Ask whatever you have, whether you're just trialing Syncro or whether you've been a payer for years. So all questions are very, very welcome. We can go through how-tos, we can go deep dives. It always depends. Sometimes we have about 30 questions waiting in the queue and it's like rapid fire. Sometimes we do have a little bit more time and we can spend a little bit more detail in a certain feature if that would be helpful. And so with that said, we do use the Q&A. So I usually pop this out on a screen over here. So if you see me looking over here, I'm just looking at what's coming in through the Q&A. We don't use the chat other than we will send links via the chat. So if we talk about something and we have a great knowledge-based article, we will add that to the chat for you guys to see. But aside from that, really, we're just here to help. And the other thing that I also like to mention too is that, we do these every week. And this is a really great way to continue training either yourself or other members of your team. And so, as you hopefully use Syncro to grow your business and you bring on new technicians, please just send them the link, invite them to open office hours, because it's a great way to get up to speed really quickly and also engaged in the community. I think that I'll wait just a few minutes, but I think we've got some really awesome stuff happening today, which is great. We had a really cool quality of life, but also a community driven track feature that was released yesterday. And I can kind of go through that too. I like to make sure we give you enough time to start having the questions flow in because we want to prioritize those questions first. But I think it's worth mentioning, if you're not part of our Facebook group, our Facebook community is phenomenal. And the reason that I bring it up almost every week is I just mentioned the community driven track features. We're releasing those like, gosh, it's almost seems to be like every other week almost. There's a lot of these features and they're quality of lifestyle features. And we're looking at every single request. There's like 300 or there might even be like way more than that, but we look at all of them. So I would definitely recommend doing that. But I see some questions starting to flow in, so we can start grabbing those at any time.
Awesome. Go ahead and take a couple in here. So Paul is asking, what is the best practice for creating an invoice from a ticket and then syncing it with QuickBooks? And after it syncs, does the invoice go away? So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen with you here. Let me just pop open a ticket that I know hasn't been invoiced quite yet. I don't think this one has. So let me just open up a ticket here. And what you can do is you can just at the top, you can just turn this into an invoice. This would be a way that you would create a one-off invoice, not doing a recurring invoice where it's pulling in the tickets from a certain period, but just making an invoice from this particular ticket. It is going to sync with QuickBooks. So you'll see I don't have QuickBooks enabled here. I have zero, it looks like, but it will sync with QuickBooks. So you shouldn't have to go in and select like a sync option or anything like that. The invoice does not go away. It does not disappear afterwards. So you'll still have record of that inside of Syncro as well as inside of QuickBooks. So hopefully that helps. And then I think I have one more in here. Russell is asking, are there external services to transition info from Zendesk? So while we don't have a direct way to pull in everything from Zendesk, you are able to import anything that you can export. So if you can import, or if you can export from Zendesk, your customers and your contacts, your tickets, you can import those via CSV into our system. Some things do not have, if you go into the admin section, there's going to be an importer where you can import your customers. Under a customer, you can import contacts. But if you notice that there's not a section to import, our support team can actually provide a template for you. We're able to do that for tickets as well as for assets. So they can provide that template, even though it's not your account specifically, they'll be able to provide that and actually assist you with the import. So hopefully that helps.
Super helpful. Thank you so much, Brandy. I have a question here at the top. I'm not going to have the perfect answer for you, Joseph, but hopefully we'll get you close. His question was, in regards to tickets, what is the functional difference between the resolve and the quick resolve options? Does submit as resolved have the same functionality? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and I'll show you guys. So there's a couple things when you are resolving your tickets, there's multiple different ways to do it. So if you wanted to, you could, for example, just switch the status and you can say resolved. You can also add custom ticket statuses in here. If you put the word resolved in front of it, it will stop that ticket time to completion countdown. It'll help you keep on top of your SLAs, things like that. So one way you could resolve is just going straight here and just changing the ticket status here. I think specifically the one that he's asking about though is in the section here in the ticketing, you do have also this quick resolve button here over to the right. So if you click this, it will also mark the invoice as resolved in that section there, and it'll populate in that way as well. So I don't think, unless somebody here knows specifically about kind of the difference between resolve and quick resolve, it'll still kind of stop that ticket time to resolution countdown timer for you, and help with your reporting, making sure it's accurately reflecting how long it is actually for, taking you to close those tickets. Another suggestion was, one will take you back to the tickets page and another one will take you to the actual complete the ticket flow. So hopefully that helps answer your question there. Another question here from Vaughn, it's kind of related to what Brandy was telling you guys. He asks, we are brand new with Syncro looking to bulk import our client and marketing contacts. Should we bulk import all of them into the customer section or do something else? So again, if you go over to your reports section within Syncro, if you just search for the word import, you can import a lot of different things, and I'll show you the difference for your question specifically about customers and contacts, because here in the report section, if you just search for the word import, you'll see we do have a customer import. We provide a CSV template for you, and you can kind of make sure it's formatted in the proper way and then do a bulk import. However, if you're importing contacts, I do recommend, if you go over to your customer's profile, you can only import contacts on a customer per customer basis. So when you go over to your actual customer's profile, you tab over to the contacts, you say contacts import, and then that way you can put in the CSV that way. So hopefully that helps point you in the right direction. And then the last one that I'll grab here is from Brad. He has questions about the PAX 8 billing and the different ways to approach that. So after I show you this, I'll drop something into the chat box for you guys, our resources for PAX 8, but I'll go ahead and just read his question directly. He says, how does Syncro and PAX 8 handle billing charges to customers who are set to annual billing? For example, if a customer is 3 months into their Office 365 subscription, which I buy through PAX 8, and they need to add 2 users, the recurring invoice isn't set to bill until next August 1st. Will it backdate in charge when the invoice is created next year? Or if I, in addition to the annual recurring invoice, create a monthly recurring invoice for any services provided within that given month, will PAX 8 add the charges as a one-time item to the next month's invoice? Hopefully that makes sense. I want to avoid missing any billables by automating as much as possible. So that's a really good question. Again, I'll drop some PAX 8 resources. You might have to reach out to a PAX 8 representative specifically for your specific situation. I think the biggest thing is with the integration, as you already know, you can purchase whatever licenses you need to as they are built into Syncro, and then you can link that line item to a recurring invoice. Now, I think your suggestion is correct and kind of going in the right direction. Maybe you need to set up 2 different recurring invoices within Syncro. Maybe you have one that's an annual and annual licensing invoice for that specific customer, because you can say, okay, for this customer, instead of billing them on a monthly basis, I'm going to bill him once per year, and add that to the invoice here. But again, if you're adding something in the middle of the year and it's only billing once a year, you're not going to get charged until that annual timeline comes around. So I do think it's going to be a little bit more of a manual setup if you're doing month to month, or maybe you're prorating. Again, I would talk to Pax8 and see what's the best way to set that up, based on how they tie those licenses over into Syncro, with whether you need to go with an annual invoice or a monthly. So I'll drop those resources into the chat box for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. That was great. Okay. Gonna grab a couple here. John, another it kind of correlates a couple contact type questions that we've got today. Is there a way to turn a customer into a contact for a customer by merging? I have one of my largest clients synced up, but each contact turned into a client. So no, there's not a way to do that at this point. Let me share my screen, and I think it's going to be my slide here at first. So let me just get rid of that and hop into the app. So the thing here is that if you, it's going to create them as clients, unless, like Tatiana was showing too, that there's a ton of different things that you can import. So you would have to go to contacts, and actually, if you have them listed in a CSV or something like that, you can easily import them there. But yeah, it's not gonna work by merging the customers. Okay, then the next one. Is it possible to use the business hours to send automated out-of-office responses to tickets and chats? If not, is there a way elsewhere to set automated out-of-office hours responses? So a few things. I'm going to go there. There's a few ways to answer this. So when it comes to automations based upon tickets and chats, the answers are going to be different. So for one, if you go to like your mailboxes, and this is just regarding tickets, you do have the ability, like if I edit a mailbox here, you do have the ability to enable after hours autoresponders, and that will respect your business hours. And so that's what I would recommend there. With chat, really the what you have available with chat at this time, and I don't know if we have plans to change this, but if you go into a policy, whatever policy you have chat enabled, what happens is after, I believe it's 3 minutes, and I don't think that that's customizable. So it's 3 minutes after someone chats one way or if they chat you and there wasn't a response, you have the ability to do like an unavailable message and let them know, and maybe for you, like maybe you do have an SLA that if you don't answer within 3 minutes, that might mean it's out of business hours, but this could pop up and say, business hours are 9 to 5. If this is during working hours, we'll get to this as soon as possible. If not, maybe you could, say, please submit a ticket or something like that. In addition to that, it's worth showing because we added this just recently. I'm going to show it on automated remediation, but it's also available on ticket automations. We have added the ability to also respect business hours. So if you go to automated remediation, you'll now have a condition available that I'm just going to create a new one here. But I believe that it is a condition available in automated remediation as well as so you could have something triggered only during business hours or after. So if there was an alert, you could automate an email to go out if it was after hours or something like that. This is also available in ticket automations. So kind of a long answer, but there's a lot of ways that you can manage those business hours. Let me grab a couple other ones. Randy, I'm not sure I'm able to answer this one. I'm going to throw it out here though. I'd like to get a text and have a ticket open when a service on a server terminates unexpectedly. What's the best way to do that? And then it goes on, not service stops, because you can do that with our process and service monitoring, and you can set up automations to send a text. But unexpectedly, I don't know how you define unexpectedly. So I guess I would maybe need a little bit more information. And if anybody here knows exactly what, or it has a way around that, I'd be interested to hear, because I don't know exactly how you defined unexpectedly. Maybe unexpectedly would be if it went down during business hours, and that way you could set that up in automated remediation, that if that happened during business hours, it sends you a text message. I would assume that might mean unexpected, so that might actually be another use case for business hours. And then Randy also was helpful, the resolve and quick resolve. He says resolve resolves a ticket, quick resolve resolves and closes the screen and takes you back to the ticket view. Did you, sorry if you said that already, Tatiana.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Very helpful. And then I'm just going to grab these last two from Vaughn. They go together. There are several places to put in labor. The labor log and ticket comments, it looks like we have to go back and then mark labor as charged. I don't understand the workflow here. Also, how can we automatically get the timer to go into the ticket comments section? And then the follow-up is, do customers see those labor log items outside of the invoice? Okay, so let me take a few steps here. I'm going to go into the admin section. So you have the choice when you're logging time in your ticket preferences, you have the option to automatically charge that time by default or not, meaning you have to manually charge that time. So if you go to additional settings here, I believe ticket timer charge time by default. So I have that set on this account, that anytime I track, it's automatically on that ticket, it's going to turn it into a pending ticket charge, meaning if I created an invoice one-off, or if I had a reoccurring invoice to pull pending ticket charges, it's going to pull those. I don't have to actually hit charge time. If you don't have that set, you have to manually hit charge time. Now, when it comes to a few other things within the ticket, I'm going to just hop into a ticket really quick, just so that we're all on the same page. So I'm just going to go into this first one because it doesn't really matter. So there are the 3 ways to track your time. So the one is to hit play here. The other is to just view the log. You can add time there. And then the third way is through this communications, where, you can actually, and this kind of answers the follow-up. If you did like a private note, you could put a private note, add time. They would not see the notes that you put there. But the other question was, are the customers going to see these notes? And there's a few things. A, if you are sending them ticket communications, they will see your notes. If they log into their portal and look at their ticket, if it's a public note or time that's logged, they will be able to see that as well. They can also see it on like your customer detail report, to ensure that those ticket notes are what you want them to see and in an organized fashion. I would recommend, if you go to, and again, this is so interesting. This comes up, I think, every single open office hours, but if you go to additional settings, you can customize what is in those ticket timer labor charges, so that it's always the same thing. Like your customers are always seeing the same cadence of information. And if you just click this little tooltip, you do have the ability, I'm just going to go to ticket timer tags, and you'll see these are available to you, so that it's always the same structure of notes. So you do have that available to you. So hopefully that was a long answer. Sorry I took so much time. Hopefully that helps.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Crystal. I have quite a few in here, so I'll just go ahead and tackle my list. First of all, Brianna's asking, is there a way to attach an email signature in the ticket communication section of a ticket? Currently, there is not a way to put an email signature. So I just want to make sure that I clear that up. And then Todd, great question. So I'm trying to run a sales tax report, and it's starting the quarter on the 11th of the month instead of the 1st. Do you know where that setting would be? So what I would actually recommend doing, and let me just pull up a sales tax report for you. So in the reporting section, I'm going to go down to sales tax. What I would recommend doing is just selecting custom here if you'd like to. and then you can actually choose the date range. So that's what I would recommend doing. Some other options you have in here, of course, are this quarter, this month, month to date, things like that. But I would just do custom, and then that way there's no room for error right there for you. So do that. And then Nathan is asking, is there a way in the asset list to filter by online devices only? There isn't currently, but there will be an online offline indicator. So you will notice out to the left the little green indicator, so you'll be able to view those. But there isn't a filter that will show you online and offline currently, unless something has changed. Let me go on to the next one. So Michael says, Andy shared with me on the Facebook page how to turn off alerts in the notification center, but I still can't find it. I'm specifically looking to turn off application crash alerts. So the only thing is, in the notification center, you actually won't be able to. So in the notification center, the only thing you can turn on and off here is going to be the actual RMM alert. So it would be any RMM alert in here. If I go down here, yeah, this is going to be applications. So if there is an RMM alert, then this is where that's going to be shown. Now, what you can do, there's two different options I have for you. So one, in policies, you might have an alert for this in here. So if you have this set up for application crashes, then you will get an alert. So just make sure that that is unchecked if you don't want to receive it. And then one more place is in the alerts tab. If you're noticing that alerts are coming in that you do not want to get notified on any longer, if you go out to the right where these three dots are, you can mute or clear an alert. So I could actually go in and I could mute this alert forever for one particular device or all devices. So those would be the two places I would recommend doing it. In the policies, make sure that's turned off if you don't want to get it. And then right here, you could just go ahead and mute that alert. If you clear it, I know we've gotten this question quite a bit. The difference is if you clear it, the next time it happens, it's going to pop up. So if you just go ahead and mute that, that would be the best way to handle that. And then I've got a great one in here from Chris. So what is the best way to charge for services? So this would be things like Cloudberry and kind of one-off services that they have. I know you can charge per policy itself, but if we wanted to keep those charges separately, is there a way to do this automated, like if the application is installed, or should we use a custom field for the asset and tally them up per customer? The great thing is you don't have to tally, so you can remove that from your work here. There's two different things you can do. One, in the assets and RMM tab, you can create different saved asset searches, and you can build dynamically based on saved asset searches. So if you wanted to set this up based on a specific installed application, you could do that. But another way is to actually have a custom field that's just a checkbox or drop down, whatever it is that you would like to, and you can build dynamically based on these different things. So what I would do is set up your saved asset searches. Again, you could do it by installed application or custom field. And then if you go into the invoices section, let me just populate this. And Cloudberry is a little different, so I'll show you that one. And I'm going to go into a recurring invoice. I'm going to go into one that I know doesn't have a ton of information in here. The first thing is going to be for Cloudberry. You actually can, since we integrate with them, you can just put the user and package here and it'll pull automatically for you. And then for the others, if you just go into the asset and RMM counter, for those of you who haven't seen this, you can build dynamically based on a particular number of installed Syncro agents. So you could do that. You can build dynamically based on endpoint. You can also do that based on saved asset searches. So this would include any of those custom field searches you've created or installed applications, things like that. So I would absolutely handle it this way. That would be the best. And hopefully that helps. If you have any more specific questions about that, let us know. But I will drop the KB on how to build dynamically based on these searches for you.
Thank you so much, Brandy. Super helpful. I'm going to grab the next, I think, three here in a row from Larissa, Vaughn, and John. Before I jump into those, I wanted to, for the person that asked about the efficient ways to track time, we do have a deep dive video on that, and I dropped that into the chat box for you guys. So if you have questions on, what does charging time do to the ticket, and you want to review something outside of this recording that we'll post on our YouTube channel after today's session, that's just going to be another resource for you there as well. So first question here is from Larissa. Is there a way to have ticket automations based on a client. We have some clients who have weekly sweeps to invoice all of the resolved tickets and others who don't. I'm looking for a reminder on every ticket so that no matter who grabs the ticket, the different steps won't be missed. So this is an interesting question because we do have within our automated remediation, for sure, you can filter these by a customer. So you can say alert body is, and you can write whatever it might be, or trigger category is. And if that custom RMM alert comes in, you can say, I only want it this specific alert, only if it happens to this one special customer, if they're a VIP customer or they're brand new and you're trying to give them, extra attention right at the beginning as things are getting, smoothed out. You can have per customer automated remediation, but not within your ticket automation. So I've looked here in the conditions. I did not see a setting here to have ticket automations on a customer per customer basis. But what's interesting about your question is I think you actually can, on a recurring invoice basis, just accomplish what you're looking for without having to do any manual type of checks. Because if you're setting up your recurring invoices, you're doing this on a customer per customer basis. So obviously we always use the same customer, Larry, here, but the point still stands. If you set up a recurring invoice and you're saying you have weekly sweeps to invoice all of the resolved tickets and others who don't. So like, let's say for Larry, we are going to bill him exactly the way you said on a weekly basis. We're going to start on the first of the month. All you have to do here is just say add any pending ticket charges. And then you can say, I only want to bill based off of this ticket status. So only if the tickets are resolved for Larry, I only want to pull in those pending ticket charges. And then that way you don't have to use ticket automations to do any type of extra checks. The work is basically done for you. So again, it'll be for this specific customer, not for everyone. For him, on a weekly basis, pull in pending ticket charges, only the ones that are completely resolved. And then you can do this on a customer per customer basis, whether they have this payment plan or not. So hopefully that helps, Larissa. Let me know if you have additional questions. You can add obviously more questions into the Q&A. Next question from Vaughn. How do we specify sites in customer X has multiple locations and then associate contacts and assets with those sites that are part of the same customer? Really good question. Let's head over to Larry's profile, and there's a couple things that I'll show you here. First things first is when you're setting up your customer profile, if you scroll kind of towards the bottom, you'll see that we have a section in here for additional sites and addresses. So you can say location 1, the second location, whatever you need to add in there. And so after you've built those sites, what you need to do is actually you can specify either in the contacts section the addresses here, or you can also separately specify those within the assets and RMM section. When you see the list of endpoints in here, you can specify the site and address for that specific asset, and you can also assign the contact in another way to this specific asset here as well. So that's the different ways that I would do it. Again, when you're deciding the most important thing here is when you're deciding when you have multiple locations, if you are billing each location separately, I would recommend building them out as their own customer profile, because if they're getting billed separately, you probably want those assets grouped together on their own invoices, have their own tickets, have that manager of that location only see their own endpoints. So I would list them completely separately, not under this kind of like corporate and then, locations A through Z that way, if that makes any sense. So hopefully that helps, Vaughn. And then last question here from John. Can you export customers into a CSV? Yes, you can. If you go over to your reporting section, and if you just Control F and search for export, you'll see that we have a customer export here, and it'll kind of take you through there. Hopefully that helps.
Awesome. Man, flying through these questions today. Okay. All right. Couple things. Randy, is there an option to run a script during business hours, or even better, run a script not during business hours? So if you're doing that on any sort of automation or you're scheduling it, if you're scheduling a script, you can just choose what time you want it to run. Automations, you would then just, after you make sure you have your business hours set, you can make sure that automations only run either during or after. So you can definitely do that with automated remediation, and then as well as if you're scheduling an actual script to run in bulk, or whether it's just even on one machine. And then also a follow-up, there is an event log entry ID number and description, and this goes back to the unexpectedly part for that service. Service stopped unexpectedly, meaning it wasn't part of the normal start-stop process. It basically crashed. So one thing that I would recommend here, and if you have not seen this, I'm just going to share my screen where you can create your own event log policies. So if there is a specific event log ID that is exactly what you're saying, that it stopped unexpectedly, you can just create a new event log policy. And then in addition to that, you can set up automations based upon your event log policy. So if you get if that triggers an alert that it's an unexpected, essentially a crash, then you can set up your automation and restart it or whatever, or create a ticket, whatever that might be, using automated remediation at that point. And then the only other one I was going to grab too is just that we're agreeing a filter for online, offline would be great. And then also would like to know if there is a way to filter by pending reboot as well. And I don't know if this is just on our, sometimes there's a few saved asset searches that we kind of pre-build for you. I don't know if this is one that we did that with, but if you just hop over to these saved asset searches, you'll see that I have a saved asset search created for pending reboot. So you could filter that way, just to visually see it. Just wanted to make sure that I just mentioned that it's there. Okay, I think that's it for me right now.
Awesome. I'll grab the next one here from Brianna. Is there a way to customize the ticket created email so that it shows which user created the ticket? I believe there is. I'm going to share my screen and you can tell me what you think. So if we go over to the admin section, you guys can customize any PDFs and email templates in the same section here under PDF and email templates. So in this section here, I went ahead and opened the email templates, and you have the ticket created email one. I think that's the one that you're specifically referencing here. So if you're editing that, again, if you just search for like tech name, I just searched for tech here. We have a ton of different available tags, and you can basically pop that into this this email template for you to make it look and feel and include the information that you need. So hopefully that helps. And then I was kind of in the middle of testing this one, but I'll skip it until I can confirm. So I'll just answer Fuzi's question. Can we chat with the user while we are remotely connected? So at this time, chat is not directly built into Syncro Live. So specifically, what I always do is when we're doing demos with you guys and kind of showing you how the software works, you can obviously have them open in two tabs. And I mean, I don't necessarily know why you would want to, since you can see the responses right in here. So again, if I launch into a remote session, what he's specifically asking for is if you have an active communication going with the customer in here, like right now I remoted into this endpoint and I'm basically typing as the customer. So if I say, hello, open office hours, happy Friday. If I'm writing that, I'm writing that as the customer. So if I go back into my chat, again, it's separate from Syncro Live Chat. So it's going to come through as if they wrote it. And obviously if I write it from this side, no TGIF, it'll pop up, this is coming from yours. So to answer your question directly, no, it will not. You can't select like who you're writing as, if that makes sense. But I do think that is a valid request, and it might be included in the future. So we can definitely pass that along for you. And I'll come back to Randy's quick tip there. I just want to make sure I test it properly.
Awesome. Thank you. Couple questions in here. So Michael says, I've set up about 60 recurring invoices. Normally I want these to automatically go out on the first of every month. Since I'm new to Syncro, I think I'd like to be able to review the invoice before it gets emailed to the customer. What would be the best method to do this? So let me just share my screen, and I'm going to show a couple different things here. There isn't a way, just to be transparent, for me to go in and actually view every single thing that's going to be on the invoice. But there are some ways to see what would be on the invoice. So if I go in, I'm going to just pull up, here's my list of recurring invoices. One, you could just not select this option here to automatically email the customer the PDF. Then if you have other line items down here other than just ticket charges, you would be able to come in at any point in time and see the actual count. So if you have like the dynamic counter set up in any line items, you would absolutely be able to come in here and see what the dynamic counter has for that particular product, as well as your standard line items. If you have the option here for pulling in any pending ticket charges, then, and usually people will use like the resolved status, you could actually pull a pending ticket charges report for that customer and be able to see what would be on that particular ticket. Another way is if you go in, and I know this was a little bit of a manual process since you have 60 people, but if you go in to create an invoice and I type in any customer's name, this is actually going to show me any pending ticket charges. So you'd also be able to see what would be pulled um, onto that particular recurring invoice. But the goal here is meant to be set it and forget it, to trust the system, to be able to, alleviate some pain at the end of the month, and to have whoever's doing your billing just really save a ton of time here. It's just meant to be set it and forget it and help you there. But really, really good question. We just want to make sure that you know some different ways to go in and check that. And then I think I saw, Randy says, please walk through how to do the event log policy and adding it to the policy. So really good question. Probably one that a lot of you guys might have. So if you go into policies, under policy modules out here, you're going to have some different options where you can create little mini policies to plug and play into the main policies. So the first thing is going to be your event log policies. Now we do give you just a preset. I think there's like 5 that come in your account. You can also go to new event log policy, and I can go add a new event log query. I can look at any of these if I want to. I can pull the numbers from here. I can go add this. If you don't notice it in here, you can also Google the event log ID. I know I've done that for failed logins as well. So you can put that in here, add your additional fields if you would like to. And once you have that set up, then you'll go into the main policy, and under event log monitoring, event log policy alerts here, you would actually see those different options that you had added. Another way, you don't have to go through the policy modules to do that. You could also just say, hey, event log policies from within the main policy, and it's going to take you to the same screen. So that's how you would add those. As soon as you add them here, then they'll show up on your main list in the event log policy alerts.
Awesome. Okay. I'm gonna like do a huge awesome shout out to like this Q&A right now is exactly what I love to see happen. So we had a like, hey, we don't have like organically built in attach a signature or, like 2 ticket comments. And we have folks just kind of letting everyone know what they do. So there, and then also just recognizing, hey, thank you for telling us that that's how you do it. But just for those of you that maybe if you're not watching the Q&A, just some options. And sorry, I know Tatiana, I see your name on this one. I'm just going to add it all into this thing, if that's okay.
Yeah, I can show how to set it up after you say your thing.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah. If you can show canned responses, that would be awesome. Because Randy says he adds his signature using a canned response from a ticket. And then, oops, I meant to do that. And then Scott also says that he uses email signatures based upon the bio section of the tech and the user. And so let me just share my screen here. There's a way to make sure that I share the right screen is what I'm trying to do right now. And I'm not sure what this one. Okay. Right screen, everybody? Okay.
Looks good.
So it's these PDF and email templates. And Scott was saying that he uses, if you go to email, I think he says he's using the ticket comment email. And if you edit this here, you'll see that you have a tag over here. And I think it's tech bio. Yeah. So you can go into your user, for example, and you can add your tech bio and then use this tag. So that's super helpful. I appreciate that, Scott. Let's see. Yep, that's through the PDF and email, specifically ticket comment email. I just want to make sure I highlight all of these because this was, yeah, and Brianna says thank you so much because that's really helpful. We like hearing, what people are doing. And then I feel like I had one more in here that I wanted to let Vaughn know that I am looking into the aliases on multiple inbounds because I'm not actually sure if you have to I'm not actually sure on the specific answer. So I'm just trying to get a little bit more technical clarification. The question is, can you specify multiple inbound emails such as sales at, help desk at, etc.? Do these need to be separate email boxes or can they be aliases all attached to the same account? So I actually think on the Syncro side, they have to be separate so that you can then say like, oh, if it comes into this mailbox, I want it to do that. So on the Syncro side, I believe it has to be separate, but I don't know if like the actual like domain connector can be the same because it's obviously if it's the same and you're using aliases in like Gmail, for example. But I'm going to try to find that out in a little bit more clarity. The last one that I'll grab here is Carlos wants to know, with those additional sites that we talked about earlier, is there a way to specify a different tax rate for that location? So really, really great question. I'm going to show you just this really quick. We do support multiple tax rates. And it can be specified on a customer level. So, like if you go into Larry's business here and maybe his location is in one state, you can specify your tax rate. You can't necessarily specify the tax rate per location. So if you have a customer that has multiple locations with different tax rates, and you have to bill those separately. Unfortunately, probably the best way if you want to keep that tax rate automated and like carrying through with that location, you would have to probably set your customer up as like Larry location A, Larry location B, if you wanted to be able to assign a specific tax rate based upon a location. Okay, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So helpful. I'm going to show you guys the canned responses thing that Randy showed me. So I'm super excited because I assumed this would work, but I actually tested it and it's pretty cool. So first things first, let's head over to the admin section. And here we'll go over to our users and you are going to edit on a user per user basis. We are demo engineer under this account, so I edited ours. So if we go over to detail, I put in our bio, I put, hello, yay, it works. This is my signature, and it'll show in the canned response by using the tech bio tag. I kind of spaced those apart just so we can use that. So I set that up first, and then I went over separately into our admin section again, and you want to set up your canned responses next. So if you go over to the admin and you just search for canned responses, and you go into here, I created one and I said, just default, you can put the title and you can say signature. You can add that together here. And then I use that tech bio tag right here. And then what I did is then I went ahead and opened a brand new ticket and then refreshed the page. And here in the canned responses, I just put in here, all right, let me refresh it again because I just renamed it. Using that bio tag straight in here. So signature, just tech bio, that's all they have to put. And this is going to pull in their own. So I put it in here. And then whether you're emailing, whether you're submitting a private note, public note, whatever it might be, when you're submitting that, it's going to say, hello, yeah, it works. My signature is here. And it's used by that tag. So again, just making sure that that tech bio tag is attached to their actual bio under their user's profile. And then the other way that Crystal showed as well, to pull that into those PDF and email templates and literally anywhere else that you want to put that. So hopefully that helps. Thank you so much, Randy. I think I had another one in here from Paul real quick that I'll address as well. He says, is there a way to set up recurring scripts on multiple policies at once, like an installer? So at this time, if you're looking to run scripts on a schedule in bulk, there's two ways to do it. You're right. If you do it right on the policy, you would have to edit this on a policy per policy basis. Or actually, there's three different ways to do it. You can either do it on a policy. If you scroll down all the way to the bottom, you can put a script on a schedule. And then you can say, okay, clean recycling bin weekly on a Friday night. You can also kind of just keep this in mind when you're building out new policies. You can always clone. So if you have a base package of something that you want to clean the recycling bin for everybody, you can always just clone that, make sure it's always applicable there. Another section you can do this in is if you go over to your scripting section, and I usually don't show this example, but we'll see if it's here, what I'm assuming that's here. If you go over here, you can see, you can actually see the scheduled runs from here. You won't be able to actually schedule them, but you can see the ones that have been scheduled. So there's actually two ways. The second way, if you go over to your assets and RMM section, you can either search this based on a customer site. So you can say, I want to pull this in for all of Larry's endpoints. Maybe you have servers and workstations on two separate policies, but for all of his endpoints, you want to clean the recycling bin. You can search all customers here, or all of his endpoints for the specific customer, select in bulk. It'll enable this manage button for you. And then you can say, I want to run a script. And then you can say, I want to run repeatedly and then run on a schedule. Specify the schedule here. And then another way we show this all the time, saved asset searches. You can search for literally any criteria in here. So you can say, I want to run a script based on the operating system type for all workstations, save that, pull up the saved asset search just by clicking into it. And again, same thing, selecting all, manage, run script on a schedule, and then it'll take care of it that way for you guys. And I think that is everything for me.
Awesome. Thanks, Tatiana. I just have a couple, not necessarily questions, but comments in here. Randy says these office hours are very valuable. Thank you guys. So thank you. They're valuable because you guys come in prepared, ask awesome questions, and we love doing this for you guys. Michael says, do you think you'll ever host a Syncro users group conference, not virtual, live, when life returns to normal? Praying life returns to normal. And yes, we would love to. I know the names thrown out, we were like SynchroCon, OctaCon. We would love it. And I think our community has grown so much. And I think that it would just be an extreme success. And we'd love to hear from, all of you guys too, who have been with us, for a long period of time and a short period of time, and learn from each other and best practices. And it would just be amazing. So hopefully, yeah, keep requesting it so that our team can hear it. Put it on Facebook group that you'd like to do it. And then Scott says, I know this is asked often. I've submitted a feature request, but any knowledge about whether rich text will ever get added to the ticket updates? We truly don't know. The three of us don't know. Maybe Crystal knows. We don't know if it will be added. I know it's requested often, and you're not the only one who submits that feature request. Don't worry. So we pass it along. We add votes every single time someone asks us. So we will make sure to do that. But we don't know.
Yes, that's what she said. So question, will Syncro ever be able to block SMS messages from phone numbers that we determine junk SMS? I don't know. And I actually don't know if that is something that you can do. We have that advanced integration with Twilio, and I wonder if you can do it through that. So I'm just throwing that out there, because that advanced text message, that advanced integration, it's like beyond kind of my knowledge of what all it can do, but I do know that it's incredibly powerful. Even so much so that we, even in our KB, we're like, hey, it does all of this awesome stuff, but we're not going to like dive into all of the awesome stuff. So I would maybe check that, because I don't know if we're going to be able to organically do that within Syncro, but I would check that. Go ahead, Brandy.
Yep. So I see a question in here from Vaughn. How do we deploy software installer with a silent install option to all assets in a site? Where do we put the executable? The product we are moving from has a section to upload the executable and then specify the command line arguments. I'm not sure how to replicate this in Syncro yet. So there's two ways that you can do software installs in Syncro. One is inside a policy, and that's using our third-party patching module. Otherwise, you would be using scripting. So if you're looking to do software installs, I would use in a policy the third-party patching. We use Chocolatey. There's, I think, like 7,900 apps to choose from in their community repository when I checked this morning on a demo. So you can choose. We have a short list here of some apps, but I can go in to add an application. I can search for it. I can go into Chocolatey and also view all of their packages inside of here. That's one way that you can install. Yes, almost 8,000. One way to install software. The other way is done via scripting. So either you could do that when you're installing Syncro for the first time, you could do that in a policy. There's not going to be like a separate section where you can upload executables. So it would just all be done via scripting in here. And you would, I don't believe there's a script for that. So it would have to be one that you've already created. This is also a nice opportunity to tell you the Facebook group, someone has probably done it a way that's not native in Syncro. When we talk about the features that we can do, and when you guys ask us if we can or we can't, we're referring to what's native inside of Syncro, but we're not MSPs. And so we don't, we don't run our business out of this system. So chances of you finding someone else who has found a way to do this inside of Syncro, probably someone in this group, honestly, but if not, someone in the Facebook group probably knows exactly what you're talking about and how to do that, found a workaround.
Okay. I'll grab a couple. Paul wants to know, is there a way to set up separate ticket boards like in ConnectWise? So what we have available as of today, and I say as of today because I think that there's some exciting things on the way. But what you can do today, if you go to tickets, and one thing that I did find out too is that you can import ticket boards. That's accurate, right? That's been added to the ConnectWise importer.
Yeah, I believe it was just added last week. There's a couple things. We did have a lot of you guys using the importer tool. And so our devs are awesome and made some tweaks and changes to the importer tool to add those.
Yeah, so that's huge. So for those of you that are migrating from ConnectWise, we have an awesome import tool that you can find in our App Center. As far as managing those ticket boards, essentially within Syncro, is using a saved ticket search. So all of these are like saved. These are examples of saved ticket searches. And so if you create a new one, you can see that you can really filter by a lot of different things. We've added some things here, and then you can also set certain whatever board or ticket view you want as your default. So, and this is on a per user basis. So if you want to set up these saved ticket searches for each individual technicians, you can make that their default. So that's just what they see when they log in and look at their tickets. So I think this is kind of the way that you would do that right now. I don't know if there's any other ones. Oh, question: how can we push a program outside of Chocolatey? Yeah, so basically you would do like a script install. You'd have to do that via scripting if it was outside of what Chocolatey offers. And we have a lot of examples of install scripts already in the community script library, so you might be able to like grab one of those and edit. So that's how you'd have to do that for right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Crystal.
Yes.
Question from Russell: is there a group or other info where we can find out more about the Mac agent? I'm talking about collaboration or just what devs are tossing over the wall. So really good question. I think for a while we were obviously extremely focused on shipping SNMP for you guys, making sure it works in the way that you're expecting, and obviously our devs knocked it out of the park. Amazing. So I do think that there hasn't been any super like obvious announcements that we are going to be actively pursuing the Mac agent, at least that I'm aware of. For specific questions, I would just reference the Facebook group, or if you have suggestions of what you'd like to see within the Mac agent, like the availability of Syncro Live being built in, different things like that, I'll drop the key into the chat box. And if you guys have suggestions, or if you'd like to, actively test, you can always, I think, reach out to our support team. It's help@syncromsp.com, send them an email or post it to the Facebook group and see collaborate with other Syncro users there as well. And then Russell says, awesome synchronicity, Tatiana and Crystal. I noticed that both at the same time. We both drank at the same time. There you go. I personally try to time it to where, like, if Brandy's talking and she's sharing her screen, I usually try to like drink my water while I'm off the screen. But I was like, I just can't, I just need my coffee today. So I thought it was funny you noticed that. And then the last question here, actually last question in the queue so far, from Larissa. When a known customer emails in creating a ticket, is there a way to have their tagged asset added to the ticket automatically? I'll show you what I do know. We have on if you're using the system tray icon within Syncro, there's a couple things I wanted to show in here, because if you have the asset attached to the customer here within the assets on our map section, so for example, like the one online machine here that we have is the contact is Crystal. So if I launch into a Syncro live session straight from here, I'll show you if I'm impersonating Crystal here and I'm creating a ticket straight from here and using the system tray icon and using the agent contact form. As you see, since she's the one that's assigned to the specific asset, it pre-fills her information in here. Again, I haven't tested and I actually don't have a way to test on my specific endpoint. Again, maybe if the asset is assigned, if the contact emails you from this endpoint or from that email address, it will assign it to that ticket. I'm not 100% sure on that one though. So I know for a fact it does work with the agent contact form. If you guys know, please let us know so we can share as well.
Awesome. Well, we just so happen to have 5 minutes, and I have some very exciting news today. So,
hey, can we like drum roll? I feel like everyone needs to do a drum roll.
Drum roll, please. I'm like Christmas vacation, like a little bit too early, but.
Oh, Randy's asking a question. Does that mean you don't want to know, Randy? I don't know.
He also put drum roll ... So I don't know.
I'm skipping over this question right for this moment, Randy. I'm showing stuff. Hold on. I'm doing this. All right. So I just want to I'm going to reports. I think you guys all have an idea of where I'm headed with this, because I think we have been kind of dropping some hints here and there. Do you see this beautiful executive summary report section in your reports? Marketing just went out. I think we're rolling this out to production soon-ish, if not already. So I'm just going to click into this executive summary report builder. Yes, modular report builder. So I'm just going to go to, obviously, Larry here, and you can see I can select which template I want to create. I'm just going to go with this one. I'm going to run a report. All right. So as you can see, check this out. Look how beautiful this report is. This is 100% customizable. So if I go to open report templates here, let me just show you how fantastic this is. I've got my default, or I've got some already built templates. But if I go new report template, and we'll just say, we're in open office hours. So I'm just going to call it that. And then you can insert report element. I'm going to say visual summary section. And then I'm going to go, oh yeah, this is the modular report part that I just want to add whatever I want to add. Like, I just can't even explain how beautiful this is. And you not only can you just continue, you can add these different visual blocks. You can then go in and say, I actually want to do a page break. I mean, it's just amazingly beautiful. So this is, again, launching today. So if you don't see it as of this moment that I'm saying it, you will today. Marketing just went out. This is absolutely huge. Everybody has been asking for, some new reports, and we look at how granular this is. This is absolutely beautiful. I can't get it.
Randy says, cheers, trumpets playing in the background. If we have a demo scheduled today, you're going to get a cancellation because I'm going to be playing with this all day. No, I'm just kidding. I'm so excited.
Somebody linked a YouTube channel and I was thinking it was going to be a YouTube video of a drum roll, but it actually was the link to the executive summary report builder, like the actual deep dive. So thank you, Anonymous, super mysterious.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. I dropped that into the chat box for all the rest of you guys to see as well.
A YouTube link.
Yes.
Yeah, but marketing will, if you haven't seen the email already, we all of our new stuff that we're releasing, we have awesome videos that go and correspond with those two, which will give a lot more detail than I probably just did. But with the time frame, I just wanted to at least make sure that I shouted this one from the rooftops.
I think they said it is in their accounts. Some of them have seen it, that it got in there right before the meeting. So
Awesome.
and the email has been sent, they said.
Yay. And then since we have one more minute, Randy, I will come back to your question because that's what these open office hours are for. We want to answer your questions. So is there an easy way to see what emails are going to clients? We have some clients that say they are getting a lot of comments. So what you can do, hopefully this is answering your question, but if you go to, I don't need to just save that. If you go to your customer and you go to communications here, you'll see every single email or anything that's been sent from Syncro. You can get, you can view all. I think this is also a report that you can run and actually export to a CSV as well. But you'd be able to see, like, if they're like, hey, I'm getting a ton of emails, you'd be able to look and see them there. Well, it's been an hour. It's been fun.
It was awesome. Fast hour.
I know. Jeez Louise, those go fast. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Wishing you a very happy Friday and a lovely weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy. And thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.